Alrighty. Hello, classmates. An introduction to emergency management. I'm very glad you were able to find your way to this YouTube presentation regarding volcanoes and the danger that they pose. This is Dan Leslie. I'm going to take you through the PowerPoint presentation, which touches on mitigation as well as actions that one can take in the event of a volcano. Also, it has additional resources that can be contacted or sought out at the end of the presentation. So, with regard to the cover page here, I wanted to generate a presentation that was sort of an expounded version of the public education fact sheet that was assigned, I believe, in week 5 of the course. At the time, I chose to focus on the volcano threat due to that particular disaster's intriguing nature, and also I thought it was a viable threat due to the fact that we all live here in the Northwest in the shadow, at least in the Puget Sound, we live in the shadow of a rather active volcano. I chose the title Volcano Threat in the Pacific Northwest with the subtitle The Danger of Volcano Activity and What You Can Do to Prepare, with the hope that buzzwords like volcano threat and danger and Pacific Northwest would grab people's attention in the same fashion that the intent with the public education fact sheet was to snag a person's attention for long enough to inform them that there is a possible threat and there is stuff they can do prior to and during an emergency, in this case volcano emergency. The same approach has been used in this presentation, at least with the cover page. The photo that I chose, in fact, is a reflection of that. It's from the USGS webpage, and for one thing, it's got a stop sign on it, which anybody who's got a driver's license has been sort of trained to recognize immediately, and it grabs your attention. The purpose of a stop sign is to let you know you need to stop because there's danger ahead, and so as we're driving, we're always on the lookout for them. So if you see one in passing as you're going about your day, it's not unlikely that it'll snag your attention. Also, behind that stop sign, there's a lava flow approaching the viewer, in the theater of the mind, if you will. But it's slowly encroaching and rather intimidating, and hopefully it stirs some emotion in the viewer, at least enough to generate some interest in proceeding with the presentation. High volcano threat in the Pacific Northwest is the title of this slide. Same title, in fact, as the presentation itself, save for the fact that high is at the beginning of it. Again, just hammering home the fact that there is indeed a volcano threat in the Pacific Northwest. And if after viewing the initial page anybody wondered what kind of threat that was, it is high. The first bullet here reads, the Pacific Northwest region is home to more than 30 active volcanoes. I found it interesting while looking into this at the disparity of quantitative information that existed out there. I kind of chalk it up to differences of opinion that researchers had with regard to what counts as a volcano. Maybe it's likelihood of eruption, or maybe it's the threat posed. But I also found it interesting that there's rarely just a simple list starting with one and ending with one and sort of giving somebody a black and white number. There's this many. You usually just have a map with X's on it, and you're supposed to infer or figure out how many volcanoes are represented on the map. when it came down to it, I I wanted to put a number on there so that folks realize that if you live in the Northwest region, you do indeed live relatively close to a volcano, regardless of where you are. But I didn't want to go crazy with the number and say, we all live on top of the world's most gigantic volcano or anything like that. So I looked to the USGS, who I figured would be the most reliable, counted out the X's that they had on their map, and then rounded down to be even more conservative in my estimation and put 30 active volcanoes. Um, that is, as it says on the slide, still the most in America. We really live in the most volcanically active area in North America. Some of the volcanoes listed include Glacier Peak, Mount Adams, Mount St. Helens, Mount Jefferson. The next bullet point, this is quite intriguingly true, says many cities in the Northwest are positioned close to volcanoes, and this poses a very real threat. In looking into this, I found that the general distance, the sort of guesstimated distance, and I would bet my next paycheck that these numbers are accurate to within 5 miles, give or take. Each city, and these cities are actually represented here in photographs with their respective mountains behind them. Seattle, Portland, Vancouver, BC are all about exactly 50 miles from their nearby volcano. Coincidental, I guess, but it's very true that lots of large population bases are very close to very dangerous mountains.